What is the opinion on the Modi's third term? Do you think that it will be the past 10 years like current situations? What is the
No,
same?
it will be very different from the last 10 years. In fact, this outcome is a game changer because in the first term he came on a development-oriented program, and then after they, on 32% of the vote, they became the single largest party. Then in 2019, he improved upon that position, the party, 37%, 303 seats. And I think the whole agenda changed. You had the CAA, which was introduced towards the end of the first term, but came into force, or they tried to bring it into force. It became more aggressive. And I think the communal platform was strengthened and became more aggressive. Then you had the NRC exercise, which created a lot of concern. And then Kashmir, 370. And the virtual war against state governments, ruling governments and states ruled by what is now India bloc parties. The name was different earlier, UPA. So there was parties which are clearly in the opposition. Governors were used to thwart legislative initiatives, and they behaved the center behaved in an extremely hostile manner, unleashing the coercive agencies of the state, CBI, the Enforcement Department, Enforcement Directorate, Income Tax Department, and the police in places like Delhi against even leading politicians, sometimes close to the elections. So all that, I think the state governments can breathe more easily now in states ruled by those who are opposing the BJP. Because why? Because there are two major forces who are now termed in the media as kingmakers. The first is Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, former chief minister, incoming chief, he's going to become chief minister very soon. And you know what their ambitions are. They have national ambitions. They want, it's been reported, office of Speaker of the House of the Lok Sabha, and some important ministries. We don't want to speculate on what they are demanding. But Speaker, I think, is virtually certain because Mr. Balayogi of TDP was a speaker in the Vajpayee coalition government. And then Nitish Kumar and his party, they will also demand more. And both of them have been very critical of the BJP in the past, particularly Mr. Naidu. They demanded special status for Andhra Pradesh and also Mr. Nitish Kumar for Bihar. So they are very strong. They have spoken strongly in favor of state rights. So it will be difficult for the BJP in government, leading the government, and particularly for Mr. Modi and Amit Shah. I don't know what position Amit Shah will occupy. They will try to keep him in home, but they cannot function in the old way, I think. And therefore, state governments can breathe more freely. We have to wait and see what exactly unfolds, but that will happen. But now he is dependent on two so-called kingmakers. The 3DP headed by Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, who is quite a strong leader, very experienced leader, and with the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar in Bihar. Both have delivered, particularly the TDP has delivered on its own strength, and Nitish Kumar has also got seats allying with the BJP and some others. So dependence on two parties which don't naturally belong to the BJP camp because they've been opposed, and with Nitish Kumar we know how much he has changed. Even in 5 years, started with NDA, mid-course he jumped ship and became UPA, and again he was a leading figure in forming the India bloc or the India Alliance as they called it. There was a lot of talk about him becoming the convener, which didn't happen. So he jumped ship for whatever reason. We will not go into that. But inside the government also there will be bargaining because these ministers are not dummies, will not be dummies anymore, just listening to what Mr. Modi or the PMO commands them to do. They will assert themselves, some of them at least, particularly those coming from these two camps. And there is also the Janata Dal secular in Karnataka. They got only 2 seats, but they got about 5.6% of the vote. And if you look at they tipped the balance in favor of the BJP in Karnataka. Their bargaining power is not the same, will not be the same as the other two so-called kingmakers, but they can't be ignored either. Mr. Devegowda's and the leader now is Kumaraswamy. They will also demand participation, say in decisions and so on, because Karnataka is a very important state. Right now ruled by the Congress party. They'll want to increase their strength, and the BJP will face some pressure, although less than in the other two cases from them. They have to be accommodated with decent ministries. So it's a new game in Indian politics, and it came as a big surprise, because you know what happened with the exit polls, how far they are from the reality. To the credit of our journalists, many reporters, honest reporters, came up with the facts on the ground. And I know that, for example, in the Hindu, our editor Suresh Nambat, getting reports from the ground, was very clear even after the exit polls came out that it would be under 250 for BJP alone, and so on. So although you couldn't predict all the others, and this is just one example, there were others. Yogendra Yadav famously went out and stuck his neck out. He was a very respected election expert, psephologist and political analyst, now activist also. So they asserted, and they have been proved right. I don't know how the exit polls could have got it so wrong. And you know, the one with the greatest credibility, Mr. Pradeep Gupta, cried on live television. They made him cry because they threw him under the bus. And that was not a good sight to see, because he had earlier come up with very reliable findings. And you can't treat a professional like that. But that is that's the fate of these exit polls when they come under pressure. They have to explain, because how all of them got it wrong, almost all. The only exception I saw was Dainik Bhaskar. They came close, but the range they gave was so large that it was meaningless. But they were less inaccurate, as it turned out, than the others. So I think journalism deserves credit across the board, I would say, newspapers. I'm sure your channel also came out with pretty good feedback. Your group, the ET group. But it's a new game. It's a transformation. It's a major change in Indian politics, which I think many journalists have recognized. I saw the first editorial in The Economist in the UK, the New York Times, and then The Guardian, and now the Financial Times. I read them, and they all hit upon this point, which I'm emphasizing. Because you need help from outside, your aura of invincibility has gone. That's the heading in the New York Times, similar thing in the Financial Times. The Economist perhaps was the first to come out with this idea, but I think a number of editorials, including in our newspaper, The Hindu, have emphasized it. You see how the stock markets reacted, euphoria, and also there are issues there relating to conflict of interests, I think, because some major media groups are now involved in the large businesses. Even if they had done nothing wrong, the perception of conflict will be there, and I don't buy conspiracy theories. You have all kinds of things about why the exit polls went so wrong. I don't buy into that, but there are surely perceptions of conflicts of interest. All these are to be addressed, and this is a new game, and Mr. Modi has no real experience in dealing with coalition arrangement, either in Gujarat or in the center, because he won big. He is a chief minister who's never lost.
The alliance government is not new for the BJP. From 1998 to 2004, Atal Bihari Vajpayee leading the alliance government only. But now, why it is the tough job for Modi?
Because he's used to a different way, Because Mr. Vajpayee became Prime Minister when the Sangh Parivar was on the rise. And he was a very mature politician. Whatever you think of his ideology, he knew. Which is why if you look at the BJP manifestos, the Ram Temple issue didn't always figure there. Mr. Advani was one who tried to center stage it, but there was opposition mainly because the coalition partners didn't want it. Mr. Vajpayee was committed, but not to the extent the others are. But if you become the single largest party and largely a one-person party with a personality cult, then it's very difficult to treat others as equals. So this is it's a different stage of development, and you have a leader who is very charismatic. Mr. Narendra Modi has been. That charisma has dimmed a bit, no question about it. All the data from the polls, the surveys, the CSDS analysis all point to that his aura is diminishing, still quite formidable. And the gap between that and the India bloc or alliance has narrowed. The BJP share of the vote has also come down. The exit polls predicted 40% plus. Even the CSDS survey put it at that. It's actually 36.5, which is a decent total, but far less than what they hoped for. And therefore, it remains to be seen how Mr. Modi adjusts himself to this situation. He's quite capable of doing it, I think. But in a sense, he'll be a reinvented Modi.
What are the compromises for the BJP has to make, like a civil code and the CAA, like
Yeah, the Uniform Civil Code is dead for this term. That's gone. It can't be imposed. Even CAA, I doubt very much. But the NRC, that is, CAA is become law. But the NRC exercise, that's going to be a major problem for them.
Today he raised the behaviour scheme also.
Yes, he raised it, did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They revoked that scheme to the BJP. His demand.
So this started already. Yes, Agnivesh. And then also I think what I mentioned earlier, dealing with state governments belonging to the other camp, that has to undergo a change. You can't be so hostile and treat them as enemies or even anti-national players in some of this vocabulary. So, and they have to stop all this, not all of it or quite a lot of it, otherwise Mr. Naidu himself will be shown up as one of theirs, which he is not. In 2019, Srinivasan Jain, I have the video clip here, I'll give it to you. In February 2019, he interviewed Narendra Modi, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, and he explained, and you should see what he says there. And you should see what Mr. Amit Shah has said about personally attacking Mr. Naidu on this. Of course, all that they will say is behind us, but Mr. Naidu is on record on these issues, using CBI enforcement and against political opponents and so on. So I think state governments will hope, those belonging to the other camp, the India bloc.
Congress has decided to follow that wait and watch the policy. Do you think that it will be work? It may give a breathing period for the BJP to influence other small parties and independent MPs?
No, I think that won't help them make up the gap of 32. They got only 240 and they need 272. That won't help. So I think the India alliance has tasted success. Maharashtra, above all Uttar Pradesh, player of the match. Who is the player of the match? Some would say Rahul Gandhi for narrowing the gap. But I think most people would say who? Who do you think? Akhilesh Yadav. And of course we have Mr. Stalin, 100 out of 100. Just as in Madhya Pradesh, BJP scored 29 out of 29. Here it's 39 out of 39 plus one Pondicherry. And then you have Mamata Banerjee, who pulled off a major upset. Maharashtra, the alliance of equals, they've done so well. Disappointment for them in Bihar, for the India alliance, and even in Karnataka. And Odisha is, of course, he is never with the India bloc. It's Naveen Patnaik and his party. So it's gone both ways, but overall the India alliance will be very enthused. But there's no question of their forming an alternative government. I think the gap is too much, and if you cobble together, people won't take it well, because people have given, all said and done, their mandate for the NDA as it exists today, but not for the BJP alone, standing alone.
What will be the role for the Amit Shah in the new government?
Remains to be seen, but I think his kind of heavy-handed handling of the Home Ministry, at least perception is he's behind all these raids and so on, whatever the facts. That I think whether he'll be Home Minister is the first question, but it could be Mr. Rajnath Singh who's handled this. He'll be a less controversial figure. So if Mr. Modi wants to moderate his course, he should change that. At least in the public perception, there will be some difference. But that's the matter, internal matter. But Whether the two so-called kingmakers will have a strong say in this, I don't know yet.
What are the
But he will remain an important figure in the BJP and in the government, I think.
So what are the challenges in front of the Naidu? Because he's elected from the also the supporters of the minority votes also. So after that NDA alliance is joined, what are the challenges in front of him?
I think he will have first to defend his reputation. I know Mr. Chandrababu Naidu very well, and he values his reputation, his credibility, his trustworthiness, his secularism. In that interview I mentioned, he says not just democracy but secularism. They are against it. So other parties have done it also. They changed sides and so on. But Mr. Naidu in particular, after he's won such a huge victory, it's bigger than the victory what they got in Orissa, the BJP-led coalition, NDA. Because there in the assembly it's quite close between Naveen Patnaik's party and Congress. The gap between BJP and them in terms of seats is quite low. And if they had combined, it could have been different. But Mr. Naidu has won a huge victory in Andhra Pradesh in the assembly. He's going to become chief minister. He's made it clear, or they made it clear. So he has to protect his reputation and his stock, political stock. He can't walk away from this NDA just like overnight. He won't. But he will raise issues and people will hold him to account about this. So that will be his main challenge. So if he succeeds in moderating the course of the BJP, particularly Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Amit Shah and the rest of the BJP, but they are the two main figures right now, then he would achieve some success. And if he protects state rights to some extent, because he is demanding special status for his state, which has been bifurcated and its resources have been weakened after the bifurcation. Two states now. The Congress is sitting pretty in Telangana. Mr. Naidu has to show, he says the situation is terrible, finances are collapsed. So he's got to remedy it. For all this, you don't need confrontation between center and states in general. Because he can't say, be decent only, be good only to us. And for Tamil Nadu, let Governor Ravi do whatever he wants. He's overtly partisan. And there are other states, Kerala, there's West Bengal, even now Karnataka, where the Congress is in power with a pretty good majority. So all this he has to do, and Nitish Kumar also. Although his health, I think, is more frail. But Mr. Naidu is in very good health and very good spirits.
After that NDA government formation, how it will be the setback for Tamil Nadu government? Because M.K. Stalin government had given a lot of assurance in their manifestos. So how it will be affect in Tamil Nadu in government and politically?
I think in the new situation they will have to fight for state rights, particularly on the financial side. I think the rest they can tackle. Governor Ravi, of many DMK people tell me he's our biggest asset. Because people get more and more fed up. I've repeatedly heard this. I think the Chief Minister has also said it, I think, in some this. So, but on finances, they need a lot of support and fair resource allocation, transfers, transactions, even on GST and so on. And the center has to come out. I mean, what is this saying? Unless you name this after Narendra Modi, we won't give this. So all those tricks from the finance ministry have to stop. We have to see who's going to be the new finance minister. Because Nirmala Sitharaman said, I don't have the money, that's why I didn't contest the election. You'll have to see whether there's a change in that. Because you can't continue, it's not business as usual or business as before. But Tamil Nadu, I think, is in a stronger position now, having won 100 out of 100, having scored that. +1 Pondicherry, +1 in Tamil Nadu also, compared with the last 2019. They are in a better position to assert, and they must fight. Campaign and fight and get the people totally on their side. And if the AIDMK has any real commitment to state rights, then they also have to support this. I think they will be the principal opposition party in the assembly election, not the BJP.